Today, we need to talk about AI, but probably not in the way you're expecting, because right now, everywhere you look, people are talking about AI changing the world. Every company suddenly says it's an AI company. Every startup is adding AI into its branding. Every investor is chasing AI narratives. And every week, there's another headline about AI replacing jobs, transforming industries, or becoming the future of the internet. But honestly, I think this is why so many normal people feel disconnected from the entire conversation, because most people still don't actually know what AI means for their real lives. They hear phrases like AI agents, autonomous systems, agentic commerce, machine to machine payments. But what does that actually mean for someone trying to pay bills, build a business, raise a family, or simply survive in an economy that already feels stressful enough? And honestly, I think that disconnect is becoming one of the biggest emotional gaps in technology right now. Because the people building AI are talking about the future, while a lot of normal people are quietly wondering, okay, but where do I fit into that future? And this is where crypto suddenly becomes incredibly interesting. Because over the last few weeks, some very important stories started appearing involving Amazon, Stripe, Coinbase, Google Cloud, PayPal, Solana, Avalanche, stablecoins, and AI payment infrastructure. And at first glance, these stories sound quite technical and honestly quite boring. But underneath them, there's a much bigger shift. Because what these companies are really building is the financial infrastructure for AI systems to actually function economically online. And once you understand that, the entire AI conversation starts looking completely different. Before we get into it properly, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name's Paula, and on this channel we look at crypto, macro, AI, financial systems, and the biggest stories shaping where technology and money are heading next. I don't want to just talk about what's pumping today. I want to understand what's actually changing underneath the world around us, and more importantly, how those changes could eventually affect ordinary people. Because honestly, I think that's the part that most channels completely miss. And the deeper I research this story, the more I realise this may actually explain why retail investors still feel so disconnected from AI. Because most people still see AI as something happening to them, not for them. They hear AI will replace jobs, AI will automate industries, AI will change everything. But nobody really explains where the opportunities are for normal people. And meanwhile, behind the scenes, major technology companies are quietly building systems that suggest AI may eventually become economically active online. That's the part that most people haven't noticed yet. The story that really caught my attention this week involved Amazon Web Services, Coinbase, and Stripe. AWS recently launched a preview of something called Agent Core Payments through Amazon Bedrock, allowing AI agents to make stablecoin payments using Coinbase infrastructure and Stripe payment systems. And honestly, when most people hear that, it probably sounds meaningless. Okay, AI agents can make payments, cool. But if you zoom out slightly, this is actually a massive shift because up until now, AI has mostly behaved like a tool. You ask ChatGPT a question, it gives you an answer. You ask an image generator for an image, it creates one. But the tech industry is rapidly moving towards what they call agentic AI, which basically means AI systems capable of carrying out tasks independently. And this is where I think people finally start to understand what AI could actually become in everyday life. Because imagine waking up in the morning and your AI assistant has already found a cheaper broadband deal, cancelled subscriptions you forgot you were paying for, optimised your monthly bills, reordered groceries before you ran out, booked your cheapest train tickets, negotiated insurance renewals, filtered your emails, organised your meetings, optimised your business advertising spend, moved spare cash into savings automatically, source cheaper suppliers for your company, or handle customer service while you sleep. Suddenly, AI stops feeling like some futuristic robot conversation and starts feeling like an automated life assistant. That is the moment this conversation changes for ordinary people. Because people do not adopt technology because it sounds clever. They adopt it because it saves time, reduces stress, lowers costs, improves income, or simply makes life easier. That's what real adoption looks like. And this is the part that most people haven't connected yet. If AI systems eventually start doing real economic tasks online, then eventually they need permission to transact. They need wallets, identity, payment systems, settlement infrastructure, programmable money, automated permissions. And suddenly, stablecoin and crypto infrastructure stops looking speculative and starts looking like the financial layer underneath the next version of the internet. That's the shift I think we're beginning to watch happen right now. Because while Coinbase, Amazon, and Stripe were testing AI payment systems, another major story quietly emerged involving Solana and Google Cloud. Solana Foundation and Google Cloud launched a system called Pay.sh, allowing AI agents to pay for APIs using stablecoins directly on Solana infrastructure. Again, at first, this sounds technical, but when you simplify it, what they're really building is a payment layer for software. And honestly, once you understand that, it changes how you look at crypto completely. Because suddenly, crypto is no longer just competing with banks or stocks, it's competing to become infrastructure for the internet economy itself. And this is where the Avalanche story becomes really interesting too. Avalanche recently announced Kite, an Avalanche based AI payment and identity system backed by PayPal Ventures, Coinbase Ventures, and other major investors. Now, think about that carefully. Amazon is experimenting, Stripe is experimenting, Google Cloud is experimenting, PayPal is experimenting, Coinbase is building payment infrastructure, and stablecoins are increasingly becoming part of those systems. These are not random crypto native startups anymore. These are some of the biggest infrastructure companies in the world quietly preparing for a future where AI systems transact economically online. I think most people still massively underestimate how important that could become. Because if AI agents eventually become economically useful, then they may start interacting with the internet consistently, buying services, accessing data, paying for APIs, managing subscriptions, handling logistics, executing business tasks, moving money globally, optimizing workflows. And traditional financial systems are honestly not built particularly well for that world because banks close. Cross border payments are slow, micropayments are inefficient, settlement systems are fragmented, different countries use different rails. But stablecoins and blockchain infrastructure are programmable. And suddenly, crypto stops looking like a speculative casino and starts looking like digital infrastructure. That's the part I think the market is only just beginning to understand now. Now, obviously, we need to stay grounded here. This does not mean autonomous AI economies are arriving next month. It does not mean humans suddenly become obsolete. And it definitely does not mean every AI crypto project suddenly becomes valuable. We are still very early, but the direction matters, and the direction right now is very clear. The world's biggest technology companies are beginning to build payment systems, settlement systems, and programmable financial infrastructure for AI driven digital commerce. That's not speculation anymore, that's real development. I think this also explains something much bigger happening emotionally in society right now. A lot of people feel anxious about AI because they feel like they're watching the future being built without understanding where they fit inside it. That's why there's so much fear. People are worried about jobs, income, automation, relevance, economic survival. I completely understand that fear. But I also think there's another side to this story. Because throughout history, technology has also created entirely new industries, new opportunities, and new systems that nobody could fully imagine at the beginning. The internet created online businesses, creators, e commerce, remote work, social media careers, digital economies. And AI may create entirely new economic systems too. And that's why I think understanding the infrastructure matters so much. Because the biggest opportunities often emerge underneath technological transitions. It's not just the flashy headlines everybody talks about. This is where crypto becomes much more mature as a market, because increasingly the strongest narratives are no longer just hype narratives, they are infrastructure narratives. Stablecoins, payments, tokenization, settlement systems, AI commerce, programmable finance. And the projects sitting inside those narratives may end up becoming incredibly important over the next decade. Not because people are gambling on memes, but because real systems may actually need those rails. That's a very different type of market. And honestly, I think we're only just starting to see the beginning of that transition now. Because once AI systems become economically active online, the infrastructure underneath them suddenly becomes incredibly valuable. And by the time the average person fully notices what's happening, a lot of that infrastructure may already be built. That's why I think these stories matter now. Not because Amazon or PayPal experimenting automatically means crypto goes to the moon, but because it shows us where the world itself may be headed. Towards programmable digital commerce, toward AI driven systems, towards stablecoins becoming part of internet infrastructure, toward blockchain based settlement systems operating underneath digital economies. I think most people still massively underestimate how big that shift could eventually become. So let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think AI agents eventually become major users of crypto infrastructure? Do you think stablecoins become the money layer for the internet? Or do you think people are still too disconnected from AI to fully understand where this is all heading? If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, turn on notifications because we're going to keep following these stories closely as AI, crypto, stablecoins, and the future financial system continues colliding in real time. And as always, if you want to know the exact strategies we use to make money in the crypto wolf pack in both the bull market and the bear market, we've made a completely free trading course for you. The link is in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.